Okay, and I'm sorry.
Sean Boyce. Here, I have a card for you, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
I could use home phone.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I bring the mayor, if you don't mind. My name's Jim Gray, we're West Parsonage Way in Manalapan. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the board tonight for the decision that they made. Thank very much the parents, the athletes that are here tonight. I think they got a lesson in democracy. I think it was a great compromise. Not everybody's happy, but it's a beginning, and maybe it's time now to look at that policy of administrators and coaching. Good things come from discussions. I think what we heard tonight, the same theme over and over again about commitment and leadership and moral values. And you should be proud of the young men that came out of that program tonight that came up and spoke. I thought they did a very good job. My son was a product of the Manalapan football system. Had great coaches, similar to Mr. Gallagher, and did very well and went to West Virginia. So I think I have a lot of respect for the people here, respect for the board, but I think you deserve some credit too, and I thank you very much for listening to the people here.
You've always been the wiser and more handsome of us. Mr. President, school board members, I'd just like to thank you for your time this evening. Mr. Bruno especially for working towards a compromise tonight. I think you've heard through many passionate speakers tonight that Mr. Gallagher is, not just an honest and hardworking and intelligent man, but he's someone that has character that is just unparalleled. So if it, the reason that we really wanted to speak here this evening, it's not just because of Mr. Gallagher. I understand your job's here to protect the whole excellent Freehold Regional School District that we have. And that's why we're really asking for you to look at the policy to see if there's anything that can be done for the next 8 to 10 weeks so that the Manalapan High Schools can really benefit from seeing Mr. Gallagher as an administrator or as some type of an assistant so that he can be able to really help our students that are there that have spoke so passionately about having him. Mr. Boyce, I know you're a very smart man. We've had conversations before. I know you'd be able to help out in this. Counselor, I know you've reviewed some of the policies. I know that there's always a way that can be found to go into this a little bit further. But again, I know this is a thankless job that you all have. Thank you very much for doing your part this evening and bringing us at least a step further in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Avima Darnoff. This is my first time at one of these meetings, and I have some observations I want to share with you. I'm here with one of these young students and happen to know all 4 of them that are here. 3 of them presented 2 issues that have to do with cutting very important academic, intellectual programs at the Marlboro High School. They spoke for themselves. I didn't hear one of you address them, thank them, or say a word directly to them. However, all the football people were here. Not one football student, current students, spoke for themselves. It was all adults, it was all parents, it was all teachers, and they have a really big issue, and I understand that. But I think these kids also deserve a little bit of your personal attention, a little bit of a response. I want to tell you that I myself spoke to Mr. Ryden from the Marlboro High School. He told me that we are always welcome to come to the board meetings, the kids should come to the board meetings. He told me that he did not make the decision, that it was your decision what to cut, what to reinstate. not his. The kids are telling me otherwise. I don't know what the truth is. I'd like to know. I'd like to know how much the debate team costs. I didn't get an answer to that from him. I'd like to know now, I'm very interested in the magazine. How much does it cost? Why was my son, when he walked into Mr. Ryden's office, before he opened his mouth, why was my son told you cannot self-fund? I asked Mr. Ryden that, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, and he said, it's not his decision, I should talk to the business, I think the business manager. I left a message about 5 days ago. I left my home phone number and my cell phone. I have not received a phone call back. I want to know, why can't these kids self-fund? Why can't the magazine find a way to self-fund? Just some simple, basic answers. So.
I suspect so.
Find out what happened.
Sure.
I did pay attention to what they said, and I made a list of questions that I have to ask the board when we meet in private, because they spoke excellent, and I'm very proud of them, and I want to find out what happened to their clubs.
I just want to stress, the reason we did not say is because we're not supposed to speak directly. We have our time to speak, and you have your time. And we've all made notes on this, because I've always been impressed with clubs, athletics, academics. I go across the board. If anybody knows me for years, they know where I stand. But I'm very impressed, and what I wanted to do is ask our administration, where the cuts were made, who made those cuts. The decision, I believe, were through the principals, right, of the building, and they made it. We didn't make it as a board. We didn't make any cuts. They see where the interest lies, and they go from there because of the funding issue. But I think this is wonderful. I was very impressed, and the boys spoke great. I was very impressed with their dialogue. Thank you for coming.
Andrea Giannopoulos, real quick, Mr. Lawson. First, I just want to tell you that I was very happy to be placed on the Consolidation Committee. However, I was not, for whatever reason, put on the communication list, so I have not, up until tonight, been made aware of any meetings, etc. But my friend, Mr. Domitian, hooked me up with Mr. Quirk, who now has my phone number and address and email, and I hope to be at the next meeting.
Sorry, we're not included.
That's okay. And then real quick, we just came up with an idea based on the motion that you guys made tonight. It appears that you saved the district about $10,000 due to the difference in the cost of the assistant principal / coach. So maybe, although I'm from Colts Neck, maybe we want to consider reinstating some of these scholastic clubs.
Okay. Ma'am, you'll be our last speaker for the evening. Thank you.
Gloria and Bruno Manalapan. I signed up to speak about a different subject, but I'd like to say something about Mr. Galliu. I can tell you I had a situation where I needed to speak with the assistant principal, and he handled it immediately. So I can tell you that he's not neglecting his assistant principal position to be a football coach. And knowing how important it is to the students and the athletes to have a coach that means so much to them. Because I am a cheerleading parent, as many of you know, and they there was a miscommunication with Miss Rizzo, and it seems to me that there's a lot of miscommunication between the Board of Ed and the coaches and policies, so I think that's where you need to start to make your corrections. Everybody wants the students, and everyone wants a coach like Mr. Galliu, and it's an honor to have someone to be willing to give so much time. And like everyone else said, we shouldn't be taking that away. All right, on to my subject. I first wanted to say that I'm very happy that the Board of Ed decided to reinstate the winter track and the buses for the away games for the band and varsity cheerleaders. But I do have two questions that maybe the board can answer. The first one is, why was JV cheerleading the only JV team that was cut? And I know it's a decision that the committee made, but I'm not quite sure. My second question is, what committee is this, and who is on that committee? I know that I was on the sports committee with the parents, the seeker, the principal, and Mr. Boyce, and never once did they discuss eliminating a JV team. We did speak about the possibility of eliminating freshman sports, but everyone on that committee was in agreement that that would be a poor decision, and I'm glad that wasn't done. Cheerleading is not an activity or a club, and I can give you a few reasons. One, they receive varsity letters. Two, there's tryouts. Three, they work for years along with the football players from Pop Warner. They start as young as 5-year-olds, and they're on the field with the football players as many hours practicing, and they work all the way through up to high school. Parents pay for privates, for tumbling. It's not a club. It's not an activity you join, quit, just get on. You have to work for it, and you work very, very hard for it. It's hours and hours of practice. I think I covered everything. I'd like the Board of Ed to reconsider this, and I'd like answers on the first two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody get any questions? Any questions from public comment?
Why was JV cheer cut? What was the other? Mrs. Bruno? There you are. Why JV cheer? A total of 152 people lost their jobs. Activity buses were cut in half. Millions cut out of transportation. All facility projects. I can't even remember principal budgets cut by 25%, quarter of their budgets lost. 30 clubs, JV cheer, 7 football coaches, wrestling coach. I'm just starting to scratch the surface of what my point is, that many difficult decisions were made, and they weren't easy. They really were not easy. And the timeline that we had to work with was also difficult. I'm just telling you the reasons, of facts set. So that's about all I can tell you, is that those are the types of things, the types of decisions that we had to make. And we put together as much input as we could, and we put together the best package that we could to continue to run the district at the level that we're accustomed to. Mr. Plesto?
I want to just address a couple of things. This, by the way, was awesome. I never saw this before. Excuse me, did you talk? No, I thought I was talking. I thought that I was at the microphone. Thank you. I thought this was awesome. I had never seen this before. You still talking? All right, why don't you talk, and then I'll wait till you're all done.
I'm sorry, I don't recall. What was your second question? And I'll repeat it. I don't know where you heard that. There was no committee. It was administrative team made recommendations to the board via the superintendent. I don't know who told you.
And I sympathize with what was in the past, but again, that was the only JV team that was cut. So I think you need to be consistent. You can't just pick one JV team. It's just not right. You wouldn't do